Order. Order. Esther McVey to move the motion.
Thank you, Chair, and it is a pleasure to be serving under your chairmanship today. And I beg to move that this House has considered the potential merits of issuing guidance on tree maintenance to local authorities. Trees, beautiful, majestic, and an enhancement to an area, are one of the most visible aspects of our scenery in the UK, and yet their sheer size makes their maintenance essential for public safety. Sadly, on public land, the reality is that this work is seldom done, and as we are about to hear today, can lead to devastating consequences. Last year, I met with my constituents, Fiona and Sam Hall, whose lives were changed forever in August 2020, when Fiona's husband and Sam's father, Chris Hall, was killed by a decayed tree that was known to be dangerous. Chris had left the house for a routine lunchtime dog walk on what was a warm and calm summer's day. He took this walk in the cars in Wilmslow, a local park popular with residents. And while on his walk, the limb of a decayed 130-year-old tree of 22 tonnes fell and hit Chris, killing him instantly. Chris was, by all accounts, a life force for good, someone who loved life and life loved him. His wife Fiona described their passion for simple things, spending their time cooking together and walking their dog. And Chris, son, that Sam, shared how much he missed him, everything about his father, his laughter, his wisdom, and the adventures that they had and they shared together. The loss of a loved one is a tragedy by any measure, but Chris's death was senseless and preventable. Cheshire East Council, responsible for the tree, knew the tree was unsafe. A year earlier, another limb had fallen off the same tree. ANSA Environmental Services, the council's contractor responsible for tree maintenance, found the tree had significant structural defects and recommended it be crowned. But nothing was done. The tree was not crowned and no action was taken to mitigate its risk or warn the public of the dangers that that tree presented. When the case went to court, it was clear that the responsibility for the incident lay with Cheshire East. And after an investigation by the Health and Safety Executive, the council pleaded guilty to breaching the Health and Safety Act 1974 and was fined £500,000 in November 2024. The investigation found that, since its creation in 2009, Cheshire East Council had no formal tree maintenance strategy. The council agreed, following the court case, to develop a tree strategy in partnership with an arborist chosen by the Hall family. The council has implemented their own tree management strategy in 2021. However, despite this tragedy and others we've heard about through the news, in the newspaper of late, there still appears to be a legislative gap, and tree maintenance across the country continues to be ad hoc. So while councillors are required to ensure public safety, there is no statutory duty on them to carry out regular inspections of trees on public land. Regular tree maintenance work is voluntary, and the extent to which councils inspect trees is left to their own discretion. And when budgets are tight, maintenance is often the first thing to fall by the wayside. But maintenance by councils, I'd suggest, must be a priority, and in this case, tree maintenance. To address this, Fiona is now campaigning for Chris's Law, which would require councils to maintain a register of high-risk trees identified by location, species and age, and to legislate to require that those trees are inspected on a regular basis. This is not all trees, but a targeted approach which is manageable for councils and which presents a cost-effective solution. Trees, as beautiful as they are, like us, have a lifespan. and a life expectancy. And as they get old, they get sick, they get weak, they can decay, and they get disease. It is a predictable life cycle. Some examples of common trees in the UK include birches, which tend to live for 50 to 70 years, beeches, 150 to 200 years, and oaks and sycamores, well, they can last for 200 to 300 years, but they all have a life expectancy. Therefore, it is safe to say, after a certain age, trees need to be inspected. I will give way.
Can I commend the Honourable Lady? There's one thing that's always come to my attention, Madam Chair. I'm dealing with this case in my office at the moment in time. It's about finding out who actually owns a tree, who is responsible for it. And we've found great difficulty going through the local council to actually find out who it would be. And as we've had more storms than ever, and probably more to come, unfortunately, this winter, it means the responsibility on those who have adjoining land, whose property that the tree may fall into. So does the Honourable Lady agree with me that maybe it's one of these things that maybe we need to find a system whereby if there's an uncertainty who owns a tree, then we need to have someone to step in. And I think that maybe underlines the issue the Honourable Lady is saying. It's maybe slightly different from the purpose of this debate, but it does, I believe, highlight an issue that is probably applicable to me, but I suspect maybe applicable to everybody else as well.
I want to thank the honourable member for intervening there. I think ownership of the trees, responsibility of those trees, and people taking the responsibility for their trees is essential. In this instance, it was the local council. They were on public land, but you are quite right, they could be on private land. We know too that there have been large drives for planting trees, particularly after the 2 world wars, and so we can age them. And the Cars in Wilmslow was bought for the council and established as a park in 1935, and logically there will be a record of when those trees were planted in the park. These are quantifiable numbers that allow a methodological approach to inspections without providing such structure to a maintenance strategy. Cases of concerns can slip through the net.
My honourable friend give way.
I will indeed.
Thank you very much, and I send my condolences to Chris and to his family. Over the last 5 years, Bromley Council has planted around 5,000 street trees, another 800 in parks, all working with residents and school children. Would my honourable friend agree with me that other local authorities could look to Bromley Council for perhaps best practice in terms of maintenance?
I will indeed, and the Minister too might like to look at where is best practice happening across the country, because that's what we're looking to achieve here. Since working with Fiona, I've heard this firsthand, individuals trying to report trees as imminent danger of falling, but having their urgent complaints lost amongst correspondence. Inevitably, such trees end up falling, and people have been injured in these circumstances, so the excuse that there was too much correspondence and that they couldn't actually deal with them isn't really one that washes. Now, this is not unique to Cheshire East Council. The court heard that 5 or 6 people die every year by falling branches or trees. This year alone, we have seen similar deaths by falling trees in Southend-on-Sea in June, West Didsbury in August, and Blackpool only last month. And I will tell you, last Saturday, my husband went to pick a friend up from Wilmslow train station, drove through Ashley on the way there. On the way back, he could not come along the same road because during that journey, a tree had collapsed right across the road and he had to take a detour. So this is not an infrequent occurrence. Each of these cases might be avoided if the tree was maintained adequately. And in 2025, there is no excuse. We have a wealth of technology at our disposal, whether that be drones, microprobes, or other advanced tools that make maintenance inspections more effective and efficient. We hear often about budgetary constraints preventing councils carrying out their maintenance duty. But, Madam Chair, preventative work is cost-effective. Legal fines, like Cheshire East's £500,000, are far more costly than routine inspections. Cheshire and Warrington also have voted to set up a new mayoral structure across Cheshire and Warrington, costing millions of pounds to establish and millions of pounds to run annually. It seems the government and councils can find money for pet projects and devolve mayors across the country, and yet routine work, the most basic of maintenance, is forgone at the first sign of financial strain, when actually it should always be a council's priority. I will indeed.
Thank the Honourable Member for giving way and for securing this important debate. In addition to proper maintenance, which is absolutely essential, and it's heartbreaking to hear the stories that she's outlined today, the current protection under the Tree Preservation Order is inadequate, and it only covers a small section of ancient and veteran trees. And she was telling us about the age of trees, veteran oaks, for example, 300 years old, and ancient even longer than that. So they do have the ability to live much longer. Somerset has about 3,000 trees on the ancient tree inventory. Nearly 500 of those are threatened by cultivation, development and overshading. So does the Honourable Member agree that in addition to maintenance, stronger protections for ancient and veteran trees are also required?
As I started off the debate today, I said how magnificent trees are, majestic, and how they can add to an area. And I agree with the Honourable Member. We do have to look after something that so enhances the beauty of our country. In fact, I spend an increasing amount of my time battling with my local council about the most basic of maintenance work and it being done. Now, that's whether it's drains being unblocked, whether it's roads being repaired, or whether it's rivers being dredged, which all feed into, I would say, when maintenance is not done properly, a bigger and more costly problem. And I'm sure this experience many members will share, and that's why maintenance has to be a priority of a council. Here, specifically, it is the danger of trees. So too often local councillors treat maintenance work as a box-ticking exercise, a quick fix to get someone off their case, while the future consequences of a bodged repair job or no repair job are not considered. Maintenance work, therefore, is essential. It's not nice to have. It's not something that is a nice little addition. It is essential. And as we've seen here, if it isn't done, it has tragic consequences. In the 4 weeks since Fiona has launched the campaign for Chris's Law, 35,000 signatures have already been gathered, and the campaign has caught the attention of the media too, from the BBC Breakfast Show to BBC Radio 5 Live, regional channels such as BBC North West and ITV Granada reports. There is a mindshare in the public and the media that incidents like this should not be occurring. Trees are such a vital part of our daily lives, bringing so many benefits to the environment and our well-being. Government have spent millions of pounds planting trees, with the current government pledging 800 million for this. But such an increase must be underpinned by a commitment to maintain these trees properly. I will indeed give way.
Many new build estates which are home to young trees, where watering and aftercare are so essential. Would the Honourable Member agree that any such new guidance should also have a really large section with a focus on early years for trees as well?
Well, I will be asking the Minister for a meeting. This is specifically about old trees, ancient trees, decaying trees, dangerous trees, but I'm quite sure the Minister will be looking into all kinds of tree preservation and looking at them in their early years. Walking through the cars now, you'll find a memorial for Chris, a hand-carved wooden sculpture erected by his family in his memory. Visitors can scan a QR code to learn about Chris and the need for improved tree maintenance. A reminder of the tragedy occurred, and a testament to Fiona and Sam's determination to use their profound grief to fight for change. We owe it to them now to work collaboratively for this cause, to push for clear standards for local authorities that cannot be skirted or sidelined. This extends far beyond Chris. We know that trees have a lifespan, and we know when and where these trees have been planted. Without maintenance work on these trees, there will be other tragic cases like Chris. In closing, I want to thank the Minister for her time and to ask the Minister if she would meet with me and Fiona to discuss Chris's law and the best way forward and steps to resolve this issue, and together work on a meaningful legislative change to prevent such tragedies occurring again.
Merits of issuing guidance on tree maintenance to local authorities.